Welcome back to TechQuest Today. With me right now is our guest, John Brosius from the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association. John, welcome.
Thank you, Kelly.
John, we had an interesting spring and summer in the state budget, and I wanted to go back and talk about some of the water issues that we started off with the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Group, and you've been a champion of those water issues for a long, long time, and maybe you can kind of give us some background on how your organization evolved into where we got to this summer.
Well, it's always good to admit on television that we have a hidden agenda, and by that I mean everything that we're involved with is typically buried under the ground. All the water pipes, all the sewer pipes, all the stormwater pipes. And the sewer plants usually aren't in public view. They're down around a bend in the river. So no one really knows too much what we do. They know they turn on the faucet, they get clean water. They flush the toilet, it goes away. They get a bill every month, so they pay for that. The need in Pennsylvania, though, to meet ongoing clean water, both sewage treatment and filtration for drinking water, is over $20 billion. That's a 2004 estimate from DEP and EPA. And that did not include some of the emerging issues such as removal of nitrogen and phosphorus, particularly for the Chesapeake Bay, which is another $1 billion cost to sewage plants in central PA. So we are looking at a huge $20 billion worth of costs. However, the governor has recently convened an infrastructure task force where when they've looked at some of the emerging issues coupled with existing issues and thrown in operation and maintenance, if we capitalize these new improvements, water and sewer need looking in the next 15-year window is going to be $36 billion in Pennsylvania. And that's a very significant price tag and something that has been recognized for a long time at the state and federal level. However, rather than funding that in the last few years, we have seen some cuts at both levels, and that is making it very difficult for what we think is the lowest level of government to raise funding, large amounts of funding to cover these projects, local government, borne by ratepayers or taxpayers for some of these multi-million-dollar projects that they are going to have to do. And as you mentioned, we're very grateful that the legislature and governor have stepped up in this last year, and the potential for $1.2 billion is on the horizon if the referendum gets passed.
So tell us about there was $800 million passed outside of the referendum, but there's a $400 million.
Right. And while many of the projects are the same, the $800 million Senate Bill 2 will cover water projects, sewer projects, stormwater projects, flood control projects, and the repair of high-hazard dams. So that will look at 5 different project areas. The referendum, Senate Bill 1341, is $400 million. That will be on the ballot November 4th. The vote for clean water, so to speak, here. That will add another $400 million to the pot of money. That will deal strictly with water, sewer, and stormwater projects. So we'll have $1.2 billion for 5 different types of projects. And the thing to remember, though, is even $1.2 billion, if you look at the old number of $20 billion worth of need, we're only going to hit 5% of what the need in Pennsylvania is for management of our infrastructure looking forward.
So it's a good start, though. And
Excellent
it was
start.
hard to get to the goal line even in the first year of this effort. But kudos to your group and to many other organizations that helped get this over the goal line in the first year. So now we're faced with this opportunity to pass a $400 million bond through the referendum on November 4th. And I know your organization and ours were working together for some ideas to get this passed. Anything from the past that PMAA has used?
We were successful about 4 or 5 years ago. There was a $250 million bond issue that went to referendum in a spring primary. Overwhelming success. It passed with about 66% of the vote. And I think an indication that the population does get it, that they realize that while the provision of drinking water and sewage treatment is local and sometimes personal to your own residents, it has a benefit to everybody because it's clean water for Pennsylvania, whether it's from your tap or treated water from a sewage treatment plant going back to the rivers and streams of Pennsylvania. So we all benefit from that. And I think the public is aware of that on kind of a societal level, this is good general policy that we do as far as government goes to protect our water resources. And the ability of government to help pay for this, and not that every individual ratepayer has to come up with significant, triple or quadrupling of bills sometimes to pay for their infrastructure, when the benefit actually does go beyond the community that is served by that water or sewage treatment.
Absolutely, definitely the folks downstream and such. So we've been working together, and we took some ideas and we put together a vote yes for clean water. And we put together a whole kit so organizations across Pennsylvania can get addressed, get talking points on this. And most importantly, John, we want to work with you to get 1,000 organizations to endorse clean water. And we wanted to reach out with you today and put you on the spot, so to speak.
I should show them the letter. We likewise have this, and I would like to say we better be very close to that goal, because we have 700 members, and we've been working them hard, water and sewer authorities across the state, that represent more than half the state's population. The municipal authorities serve over 6 million Pennsylvania citizens. So we have put the very same kind of documents, press release, bill stuffers in the hands of our authorities so they can let their ratepayers and their taxpayers know how critically important this is. And in the big picture, it doesn't just come down to their individual rates. It comes down to protection of the environment, protection of public health, two key elements of this, but it also comes down to community development and economic development. And you mentioned that in your opening remarks. If you don't have good water and sewer service in your town, your community development suffers, the things you're able to do as a community, what you can provide. But your economic development also suffers, because you're not in a position to attract new business and industry who knock on the door of City Hall and say, do you have enough water for us to put this operation in? And do you have adequate sewage capacity to take our waste product and treat it before it's discharged? So a lot of linkages go toward trying to get this bond issue passed and put some of that money on the table to help offset not just residential costs, but the impact on institutions, commercial and industrial users too.
Well, John, I want to, one, thank you for your efforts, and two, we really look forward to working with you all the way up through November 4th. We want to get better than 66% this time. It's so important that we get this voter referendum to be a big success, because there's so many other infrastructures that we need this same type of enabling legislation to work in the years to come.
And hopefully this will be a good template for that.
Super. So John, thanks again for joining us. And to our guests, this was John Brosius. John's been a leader for water issues for decades down here in Harrisburg, and we want to thank him for joining us today on TechQuest Today, and we'll be back in a moment.
Thanks, Kelly.